Hey guys, welcome in. This is Matt Miller with Politbrawl. Massive fraud was uncovered with SNAP benefits, with Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins uncovering 186,000 dead people are reportedly receiving benefits and hundreds of thousands more are double dipping on benefits. This is massive breaking news that hundreds of thousands of Americans are taking advantage of our robust welfare system that we're all paying for as taxpayers. This is egregious. This should be a bipartisan condemnation, but of course it's not. The Democrats love this. They want to protect this. Let's take a look at what's happening here.
Everyone who's on SNAP is going to have to reapply. Now, this happened, of course, when the government shut down and there was, the SNAP benefits were not getting out to the people.
For 42 million Americans.
For 42 million. Well, we thought Americans.
Inside the country.
People is probably the better. Yep. People. And so Brooke Rollins, we had her on and we had a great conversation with her where she said, hey, listen, this whole SNAP benefits conversation around the shutdown has sort of pulled the curtain back, and people are seeing how many people are on SNAP that aren't actually citizens, and they're going to have to reapply.
That's the solution here, obviously. Make everybody reapply. Vet them again. Make sure that they should be receiving SNAP benefits because they have no other options, that they're actually in need and they can't feed themselves, they can't feed their family, and that they're trying to work or they're meeting the limit, the minimums of work requirements. We need to make sure that people are not taking advantage of taxpayers.
What do you make of this? I think it's very popular, especially if you go online and look at what people think. I think it's a popular initiative to say these benefits are for Americans. Is she going to be able to accomplish this? Is she going to have some legal challenges to it? What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm sure. You know, everything that comes from the Trump administration, I just track it
definitely.
and see how long it takes for it to land at the Supreme Court. So there are going to be legal challenges. But the thing is, most of these programs with SNAP are administered by the states. And a lot of the states do have verification programs where people have to update every 3 to 6 months or, really establish that they got some kind of need. But maybe she's proposing something at the federal level that would then have a federal component for, applying and proving that you actually need this. Because I think all of us are compassionate Americans. Like, we want our fellow Americans to get help when they need it. And we've all known people, if not our own families, that have walked through these periods of needing this kind of help. But Secretary Rollins also said that she found there were 186,000 checks or SNAP benefits going out to people who were dead. So if that's accurate, that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg. And there are other problems with the program, too. So I think a lot of Americans would say, gosh, I didn't realize before we were having this conversation there were 42 million people on these benefits. Maybe it's, not such a bad idea.
That is absolutely ridiculous and unacceptable, and I think every single American that pays taxes should be upset about this, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. And of course, Rollins is doing the right thing here. We see that she is going to force everyone to reapply, and we're going to make sure that the right people are receiving welfare and these food subsidies. The Trump administration will require millions of low-income people to reapply for food stamps as part of an effort to crack down on fraud. Rollins told Newsmax on Thursday that she plans to have everyone reapply for their benefits and make sure that everyone that's taking a taxpayer-funded benefit through food stamps, that they literally are vulnerable and they can't survive without it. And that is, of course, 100% should be the case. If you're going to take government handouts, you need to be actually unable to provide for yourself in the free market. You should be looking for a job, trying to find work, trying to contribute to the economy in some way, not just sitting on your butt on the couch. Even further, defrauding the system by double dipping, by registering someone who's dead and accepting their check. This is ridiculous that so many people don't have the moral fiber to not do this sort of stuff. But 42 million Americans are receiving this stuff, and at least hundreds of thousands of them, according to this report, are doing it the wrong way. Let's see what she said on Newsmax, Brooke Rollins here, when she kind of blew the whistle on this.
On day one, when I was sworn in, which was earlier this year in February, the very first thing I did was send letters to every single state in America and said, never before has the federal government asked for the data, but it is a new day. President Trump is the president. We know there's a lot of fraud. We need to help partner with you all to figure out how to make sure that this money and these benefits go to those who truly need it and not rife with fraud and corruption. 29 states, mostly the red states, responded with their data sets February, March, April. So the numbers that you're talking through, those are numbers that we have been collecting and analyzing since early summer, late spring. The fact that this spotlight shined on SNAP has allowed us to talk about it. But here's the most unbelievable news I have really just over the last few days, that 5,000 dead people, that was just 1 month. The number is closer to 186,000 deceased men and women and children in this country are receiving a check. Now, that is what we're really going to start clamping down on. 500,000 are getting 2. But here's the really stunning thing. This is just data from those 29 mostly red states. Can you imagine when we get our hands on the blue state data, what we're going to find?
Oh my God.
It's going to give us a platform and a trajectory to fundamentally rebuild this program, have everyone reapply for their benefit, make sure that everyone that's taking a taxpayer-funded benefit through SNAP or food stamps, that they literally are vulnerable and they can't survive without it. And that's the next step here.
That is scary. That they haven't even really vetted most of the blue states. That number could double or more once we finally get all the data in. And I don't know, me for one, as a taxpayer, as somebody who's trying to do their best to build a business, to be a productive member of our society, am outraged by this. We have the right to be outraged by this. I want to hear what you guys think in the comments too. If you're a taxpayer, how do you feel about this? This is a massive betrayal by our fellow Americans, and also the lackluster maintenance of our government programs by bureaucrats who have let this go on and let this get out of control. Completely unacceptable. Now, Steven Crowder did a great piece on this for a Change My Mind segment where he's talking to people and making the claim that SNAP benefits should completely be removed. Let's take a look. He had a great conversation with some liberals about this who are very pro-SNAP benefits, unsurprisingly, but let's take a look.
Where we reason through our positions on seemingly controversial topics. And during our most recent and longest government shutdown to date, there were a lot of disruptions in the United States, including air travel, national parks, military, but no sector was talked about more, or one could argue, than the subject of SNAP.
It's out for the single mothers that got kids. Now, what can we do? We can't feed our kids. Let alone, if we do have jobs, again, what can we do?
Around 42 million Americans depend on the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as SNAP.
And who the they think celebrating these motherfucking holidays with no food stamps? I don't know where the we gonna get the food from.
They showed that the Republicans don't actually believe their own BS when it comes to populism and when it comes to funding SNAP.
I will be at motherfucking Walmart with my steel toes on and my motherfucking helmet, and I dare a bitch try to stop me from walking out that motherfucking store with my groceries.
Trump, it ain't nothing like been knew how to steal. Like, please, I'll go steal the whole turkey and the ham. Like, what up?
It'd be natural to assume that a subject inspiring such strong feelings would be amongst the most necessary, virtuous programs allocated in the United States' $7 trillion budget, right? But surprisingly, the truth is, it's not, which is exactly today's topic of discussion that took place at Oklahoma University in this installment of Change My Mind. The conversations ranged from productive-ish to cordial to a little or a lot off the rails. But you may be surprised by which students or canines had the most to offer. So sit back, but hold your chair tightly for this latest installment of Change My Mind and SNAP.
What an incredible intro. All right, let's take a look.
Let's get the off-the-rails stuff out of the way first.
I can't fathom this idea that, like, Trump is, instead of cutting aid to, say, stop funding the war in Ukraine, stop sending so much aid over to Israel, stop giving the rest of the world so much money, we're giving so much money away like just candy to everybody. Stop getting paid by these lobbyists. Stop paying yourselves salaries even while the government shut down. I think the stat I saw was we're giving Israel enough to where every citizen of Israel gets basically like $1 million a year.
We're giving like 3 to 4 billion to Israel, which we should stop, but over 100 billion a year on SNAP.
But the idea that we're giving Israel all of this money, it's not even our country, and then we're telling Americans, hey, get back to work, peasant. You can't have Coca-Cola, you can't have candy, you can't have a nice meal for your family.
You absolutely shouldn't have Coca-Cola or candy if you don't work. The $3 billion to Israel that we should also cut has nothing to do with it. It's less than a 50th.
I just think we should solve all of those other extraneous problems before we start telling American citizens we can't have nice luxuries. Yeah, you should work for
Sure you can if you work for it. It'd be like looking at that car and it doesn't work going, not the engine, not the transmission, let's fix the bolt on that hubcap. That would be the money to Israel. By the way, I say cut all of it, but it's not even close to SNAP, let alone if you get to what illegal immigration. The social safety nets, the welfare state that we have is so much astronomically higher. It's so much higher. That was horrible grammar. I'm tired. I've been here for about 5 hours at this point, and I just had to sit down with.
Okay, so 100% correct there. This is the waste, fraud, and abuse that Trump actually ran on dismantling. And at that point, we had Elon Musk in our corner, which I thought was great. I loved the idea behind Doge. It was going to go after all of this nonsense and get rid of it. And like he says, yeah, of course, we can fix other problems. I think that we should not be giving so much to other countries to wage wars. And, that is a separate conversation that I agree with. But why can't we address all of it? Why are we going to do this whataboutism and say, well, let's stop funding to Israel first, which is just a fraction? No, how about we fix our own government first? And that's an easier problem to solve, perhaps. If that's something that we can take action on immediately, remedy that, and then we'll take care of the other problems next. I promise. As a Trump supporter, I'll be talking about not giving so much money to foreign nations and protecting America's interests with our tax dollars. That should be America first.
The furry and act like I didn't think it was degeneracy. But we're at the point now where we have to actually deal with the problem. And this is one of the primary problems. And I think that it's a red herring to say, yeah, but Israel, great, cut it too. It's not even close, but we do have to bring up one other. So I think we agree on principle. And I agree with you on all. We don't disagree on anything. Cut all of it. You want Coca-Cola? Go buy it.
The deal you turned down from Ben Shapiro's corporation was worth $50 million.
Sure.
So
the company, it employs about 30 people.
A lot of money, though. And we're still funding Israel. We're still funding all of these militaries across the United States. We're in a deficit of our own military.
We're funding the military of the United States.
Well, we're in a deficit for our own, national protection.
It's not even close.
Because of how much we're giving to them. So I do have questions, though. Where do you make your money? Who funds you?
It's entirely funded by viewers. Yeah, about 85% is people who choose to subscribe. So no outside money from donors, from nonprofits, and we do one sponsor a day that makes up about 15% of revenue.
Okay. Based on the demographic of SNAP recipients that I'm thinking of being single mothers, and based on the cancellation that you went through in 2021, do you see how that is kind of
No, I don't. I don't see how it's relevant to subsidizing a government program that's a failure and rife with fraud.
I just think it's interesting that you have put someone in a position of potentially needing to rely on that and then turn around and dunk on the other people who also need to rely on it.
I think it's potentially interesting that you believe things that you see in the media and have no idea as to the situation that she is. You think she's on SNAP and ex-wife, but I'm not allowed to discuss it because that's the mother of my children.
You're rich. She's not going to be on SNAP. I'm glad you respect the mother of your children.
I'm not going to be discussing that issue. And I think it's a very feminist thing to then go since I can't actually argue this point, let me go to something personal when they're ushering you out.
The hypocrisy. The no-fault divorce thing, that's a whole other topic. I wish we would have talked about that instead because I think
biggest failure of Ronald Reagan. Yeah.
I think that would have been a lot.
See, I'm not surprised that so many young liberals are supportive of giving away tax dollars to people so that they don't have to work and they don't have to get a job to provide for themselves and their family. The central question here is, are we capitalist or not? I would like to see an entire overhaul of the American government so that we can open up back to free market capitalism. We can get rid of crony capitalism and corporatism. We can get rid of the robust and massively expensive bureaucracy that has been failing the American people for decades at this point, if not longer. And we should get back to our principles because the other side is behind a new set of principles or a different set of principles, socialism. And we saw the ramifications of that in New York City. You're going to see it more and more and more. The popular idea that the government should take care of everybody and that nobody should have to work and that we'll go ahead and demonize the people who take risk and become entrepreneurs and start businesses and work their ass off. And those are the bad guys, I guess, to them. The people who are busting their ass, trying to create jobs like Steven Crowder has here, like we do here at Politibrawl. We're working our ass off, and we're not taking government checks. We are not taking government handouts, and we don't want to, because we want to be self-determined people. That's what the American people should return to. I don't know exactly how you solve this problem. There's many layers to it. There's a lot of socioeconomic conditions that lead to this, but the biggest problem is government's complacency in this, where they're enabling people who aren't actually disabled or vulnerable. And let me just be perfectly clear here. The people who really cannot work, the people who are seriously ill, who are maybe they're just down on their luck for a temporary amount of time, there should be a social safety net for those people. But of course, that's not the only people, and it might not even be the majority of people that are accepting these benefits. How many, if you disappeared SNAP immediately, how many of these millions of people would go back to work? I'd like to know that number. It's going to be tough to get that unless hopefully what Rollins is proposing will actually have that sort of effect. And I think that we need to move in that direction. We need to get America back to work. The millions of people that are choosing not to work in America, not even that they're looking for jobs and they can't find them, but they're choosing to be unemployed. It's a chronic, destructive problem in our society. We got to fix it, and the government needs to do their part to make Americans go back to work and become productive members of our society. That is America first. So I won't play the whole thing here. He has an amazing 40-minute video. Go check out Steven Crowder's channel. You guys are probably already fans. Check out the rest of his conversation. I think later this week, I'm going to go out in D.C. here, maybe on Capitol Hill, and talk to people about SNAP benefits, just because I'm so fired up about this. The fraud is unacceptable, and we want to go talk to people about it. So stay tuned to the channel for that video coming probably later this week. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Ring the notification bell, as I always say, so that you guys get notified when we post videos every single time. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.